The Life of Antony by Saint Athanasius. Part 4. Already in passing I have spoken on these things, and now I must not shrink from speaking on them at greater length, for to put you in remembrance will be a source of safety. Since the Lord visited earth, the enemy is fallen, and his powers weakened. Wherefore, although he could do nothing, still like a tyrant he did not bear his fall quietly, but threatened, though his threats were words only. And let each one of you consider this, and he will be able to despise the demons. Now, if they were hampered with such bodies as we are, it would be possible for them to say, "Men, when they are hidden, we cannot find, but whenever we do find them, we do them hurt." And we also, by lying in concealment, could escape them, shutting the doors against them. But if they are not of such a nature as this, but are able to enter in though the doors be shut, and haunt all the air, both they and their leader the devil, and are wishful for evil, and ready to injure, and, as the Saviour said, from the beginning the devil is a manslayer and a father of vice. While we, though this is so, are alive, and spend all our lives all the more in opposing him, it is plain they are powerless. For place is no hindrance to their plots, nor do they look on us as friends that they should spare us, nor are they lovers of good that they should amend. But on the contrary, they are evil, and nothing is so much sought after by them as wounding them that love virtue and fear God. But since they have no power to effect anything, they do nothing but threaten. But if they could, they would not hesitate, but forthwith work evil, for all their desire is set on this, and especially against us. Behold, now we are gathered together, and speak against them, and they know when we advance they grow weak. If therefore they had power, they would permit none of us Christians to live, for godliness is an abomination to a sinner. But since they can do nothing, they inflict the greater wounds on themselves, for they can fulfill none of their threats. Next, this ought to be considered, that we may be in no fear of them, that if they had the power, they would not come in crowds, nor fashion displays, nor with change of form would they frame deceits. But it would suffice that one only should come and accomplish that which he was both able and willing to do. Especially as every one who has the power neither slays with display, nor strikes fear with tumults, but forthwith makes full use of his authority, as he wishes. But the demons, as they have no power, are like actors on the stage, changing their shape, and frightening children with tumultuous apparition and various forms, from which they ought rather to be despised, as showing their weakness. At least the true angel of the Lord, sent against the Assyrian, had no need for tumults, nor displays from without, nor noises, nor rattlings. But in quiet he used his power, and forthwith destroyed 185,000. But demons like these, who have no power, try to terrify, at least, by their displays. But if anyone having in mind the history of Job should say, "Why then hath the devil gone forth, and accomplished all things against him, and stripped him of all his possessions, and slew his children, and smote him with evil ulcers?" Let such a one, on the other hand, recognize that the devil was not the strong man, but God, who delivered Job to him to be tried? Certainly, he had no power to do anything, but the devil asked, and having received it, he hath wrought what he did. So also from this the enemy is the more to be condemned, for although willing, he could not prevail against one just man. For if he could have, he would not have asked permission. But having asked not once but also a second time, he shows his weakness and want of power. And it is no wonder if he could do nothing against Job, when destruction would not have come even on his cattle, had not God allowed it. And he has not power over swine, for as it is written in the Gospel, the devils besought the Lord, saying, Let us enter the swine. But if they had not power even against swine, much less have they any over men formed in the image of God. So then, we ought to fear God only, and despise the demons, and be in no fear of them. But the more they do these things, the more let us intensify our discipline against them. For a good life and faith in God is a great weapon. At any rate, they fear the fasting, the sleeplessness, the prayers, the meekness, the quietness, the contempt of money and vainglory, the humility, the love of the poor, the alms, the freedom from anger of the ascetics, and, chief of all, their piety towards Christ. Wherefore, they do all things that they may not have any that trample on them, knowing the grace given to the faithful against them by the Saviour, when he says, Behold, I have given to you power to tread upon serpents and scorpions, and upon all the power of the enemy. Wherefore, if the demons pretend to foretell the future, let no one give heed. For often they announce beforehand that the brethren are coming days after, and they do come. The demons, however, do not do this from any care for the hearers, but to gain their trust, and that then at length, having got them in their power, they may destroy them. Whence we must give no heed to them, but ought rather to confute them when speaking, since we do not need them. For what wonder is it, if with more subtle bodies than men have, when they have seen them start on their journey, they surpass the men in speed and announce their coming? Just as a horseman getting the start of a man on foot announces the arrival of the latter beforehand, so in this there is no need for us to wonder at them. For they know none of those things which are not yet in existence. But God only is he who knoweth all things before their birth. But these, like thieves, running off first with what they see, proclaim it. To how many already have they announced our business, that we are assembled together and discuss measures against them, before any one of us could go and tell these things. This, in truth, a fleet-footed boy could do, getting far ahead of one less swift. But what I mean is this. If anyone begins to walk from the Thebaid, or from any other district, before he begins to walk, they do not know whether he will walk. But when the demons have seen him walking, they run on, and before he comes up, report his approach. And so it falls out that after a few days the travellers arrive. But often the walkers turn back, and the demons prove false. So, too, with respect to the water of the river, they sometimes make foolish statements. For having seen that there has been much rain in the regions of Ethiopia, and knowing that they are the cause of the flood of the river before the water has come to Egypt, they run on and